I'm struggling financially. I had been told like I was gonna crash with this another guy. He had an extra room. I'm paying him some rent on the side. Kind of threw this thing together willy nilly. And I get there, and this dude doesn't even have an extra room. He's got a couch in his living room, and that's what I'm renting. So I'm like, oh my god, this is awful. So I'm like going broke in the situation.
Did you stay there or no?
I was there, bro. I had no other choice. So I'm living in this freaking couch and trying to figure out how to like build a business.
That's insane.
Yeah. So I go broke, man. I go broke, and my mentor calls me up. My sponsor Keegan, his father,
and this
Dan,
was in Dallas, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
His father Dan calls me up, and he's like, "Stop what you're doing. Why don't you just come live with me?"
Where?
And this was in a $3 million mansion in Plano. Wow.
Hey guys, welcome back to the False Night Podcast here with episode 189. We're here with Zachary Wooten, and we're here with a special guest on this podcast, Caleb Klous.
Hey.
I said it right.
Yes, sir.
Okay, cool. How you doing, man?
Oh, I'm good, brother. I'm good.
Looking
Happy to be
fit.
here.
Looking fit.
Yeah, always, man.
Yeah,
always. You got to stay on top of it. Be an example.
Yeah, there you go.
Product.
That's what we're going to talk about. What you do. It involves maybe being fit or staying healthy, daily health.
Yeah.
And we'll talk about some other things. But guys, just want to thank everybody who's going to watch this episode. Like, share, subscribe. You're on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Just give us a review or something like that. But yeah, we're just going to talk about you today. Get to know you, what you do.
Yeah.
And just get to share all of those things, man.
Yeah, man. Wow. Where do I even start? So
we could start
from the beginning.
From the beginning of, I guess, of this journey, this health journey, we can say.
Yeah,
you were talking about a little some.
Yeah, I'll kind of like set the stage a little bit because it kind of involves my life story.
Okay.
So I'm not gonna like bore you with the slow parts, but part of the reason why I feel like my story is unique and something that somebody would want to hear about is because of my background. Like a lot of people, they go to school growing up, they go to college, they do the normal things.
Yeah.
I never got to go to school.
Yeah.
So like my parents, everybody knows that weird high school kid that's like a homeschooler.
Yeah.
That was my family.
You were homeschooled?
Sort of. Let me get to the punchline.
Okay.
So I was the youngest of 5 kids. And when you're the youngest of 5 kids and your parents were homeschoolers, they're pretty damn tired by the time that you're born.
Yeah.
So essentially, like, I didn't get an education at all.
Oh,
like,
wow.
Not at all. Like, I never did any of the testing, any of that stuff. I was in school for 5th grade, 6th grade, and 8th grade. Never graduated high school.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know this about you.
Yeah, right. So, like, from that, I pretty much was, like, destitute to, live in restaurants my entire life. That's kind of where my background was, with my employment. I got into mixed martial arts when I was 9 years old, and that was, like, my first outlet. We used to live in the country. Then we moved to the city when I was 9, and that was, like, my first exposure to being around people.
Really?
9 years old. Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, straight up.
So where would you live in first? You said you moved to the closer city. Where were you living, like, I guess, before that?
This little area called Concord, Virginia, you wouldn't even know about it unless you studied the Civil War.
I know Concord, Virginia.
Yeah.
You
yeah.
did? Well, that's because I'm over by, I was born close to there. So I've heard of it. I've never been there.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I mean, it's like my nearest neighbors were a mile down the road. They got cows and stuff like that.
I got you.
So, no exposure to people really at all. They were, Bible Belt family, very kind of religious, which is kind of hilarious because my dad walked out when I was like 13. So it's like, hey, interesting how that works. But, but yeah, so 9 years old, got into mixed martial arts. That's like my first outlet. That's where I met my first role models and mentors. Started learning jiu-jitsu and Muay Thai kickboxing like we were talking about a minute ago. And that kind of was like my passion, but you don't get paid doing mixed martial arts.
Yeah.
You really don't. I mean, it was like the first opportunity that I had was to teach. And for that, the reward was free tuition. So it's like no payment really.
Yeah.
And it ends up where it's like, man, I'm like teaching the classes I used to be training in. It's like, is this even like real anymore?
Yeah.
Like I'm not really doing what I want to do. And always working 2 jobs, working in restaurants and stuff like that. Eventually became a rock climbing instructor and kind of like expanded on the physical fitness aspect of what I was doing. But really what gave me like a sense of direction was martial arts.
Yeah.
For sure. Without that, I would not have been able to do a whole lot with myself just because I don't think that I had like that structure to like really pursue something with my background, I was so like self-limiting, I guess you could say. And that martial arts experience allowed me to change my mindset and learn discipline and see that I was capable of like accomplishing greater things. You know, and part of that is just because while you guys were in school, I was training.
Yeah.
So it's like I had a kind of an advantage in martial arts because of how I grew up. So despite, you know, not getting an education, I was getting an education of a different type. And that led to, you know, competing. You know, that's where, like, anytime somebody's talking about mixed martial arts or fighting, I'm like, wow, dude, like let's talk about this.
What do you think it is, though, about, like, mixed martial arts that teaches? Because I hear that all the time. Like, it teaches you, like, about, like, life lessons almost, it seems like.
Oh, yeah.
What do you think that is?
I mean, for me personally, I started training when I was 9 years old back in the 90s when it was controversial, and the people that were training were grown-ass men.
Oh.
So, you know, I'm like 110, 120 pounds, maybe. And the lightest guy in the class that I started in was a 160, and he was twice my age.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, so, you know, it was like, you know, constantly you got to, like, envision that day when you're not getting buried by these guys. And you're able to then bury them with a weight disadvantage. And that's, like, really tough to do.
I bet.
But, you know, it's like if you just stay in there, it's like jiu-jitsu also teaches you problem solving in a roundabout way. So it's kind of like there's this analogy that we use that jiu-jitsu is like a hallway of doors, kind of like in the Matrix. And you're looking for an open door. So, you know, you're looking for an arm bar. Arm bar is not there. He's holding his arm in. He's tucked it or something like that. So then it's like, okay, well, let me transition, go into an omoplata or like a bent arm bar or triangle choke. There's always something else you can try. And problem solving in life is a lot like that.
Yeah.
You know, it's like you're going to have to probably take a couple approaches for a really difficult problem.
Yeah.
And if you don't, I mean, you're in IT. You know all about that. Troubleshooting is like, well, what about this? What about that? And that's kind of where, you know, I learned adaptability. I competed in the North American Grappling Association for 3 years and placed all 3 years, went first in the nation 2 years. And that was where I was like, okay, so like I can actually achieve some great stuff if I invest myself. And that's what I had kind of learned was if I find the right avenue to invest myself, then like I could really go far because I've got the work ethic. And I really truly believe that like everything's in the work ethic. Like all these trainers all these fighters that you see fighting, you know, Conor McGregor, Anderson Silva, like these amazing people. It's like you see them for 15 minutes, 25 minutes, you know, if it's a championship fight. But it's like the reality is they spend thousands of hours and thousands of days, you know, training all this stuff in the background. And then you see 15, 25 minutes.
Yeah, that's all you get to see.
Yeah.
Who knows how much work they put in those camps.
Yeah, but I just kind of saw that, you know, life was like that, and I started asking these questions because, you know, I knew that not having an education, I was going to be challenged, you know, greatly, you know, because of that.
And how old were you when you were like thinking about that?
I was probably about like 13.
Okay.
You know, it's like 13 years old. I haven't been to school yet.
Yeah.
Like, why is everybody else like doing things? like, what is school for? You know, like literally, like my parents, they didn't tell me like, you know, there's this thing called grade school and you're going to learn, then you're going to go to high school and then there's going to be college. Like, I didn't understand the progression of education. Yeah, I didn't know what education even was.
Wow.
Like, I grew up like literally Tarzan, man, swinging in trees, running around playing like I'm a soldier or something. Which, you know, that's kind of a funny thing too is like, you know, I quickly joined the military when I was 18 years old. And, you know, that was another thing. I experienced a lot of martial arts training there. You know, got to be a trainer for the combatives program there.
Oh, nice.
And that was another way that I got some structure and saw that like I could become more disciplined and get more out of myself. You know, that was like the main thing that I learned from the military was like there's gonna be times where you're gonna have a second, third, fourth wind, and you just gotta like kind of put your head down and just keep moving. And those winds will be there, and it's gonna be suffering. But you know, at the end of it, you arrive. And it's the arrival that matters. You know, it's like the journey is what the journey is, and the more struggle in the journey. Yeah, I believe that there's more fruit in the outcome. Yeah, and it's like the more problems you solve, you know, the further you get in life. Yeah. But it was kind of like that way of thinking that showed me like, okay, the military's not going to provide the way that I'd like to. You know, they don't really, you don't earn much. And I wanted to do, you know, greater things in my life than just take care of myself.
As far as like what, though, if you don't mind going?
Well, you know, with my background being what it is, you know, I just always kind of allow myself to, because I obviously battle with depression, anxiety. I even had a lot of battle with suicide, drugs, and addiction growing up, you know, trying to medicate from my situation and my lack mindset that I had. And I know there's a lot of people that struggle with the same sort of thing. So that's part of why I was so excited when you guys invited me to be on the podcast.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of people that struggle with, the same kind of stuff I was, I'm not worthy, I'm addicted, I'm all these things.
Yeah.
But the reality is anyone can overcome that. It's a matter of realizing that you can, realizing you do have that problem, and then just finding an outlet. So for me, martial arts was a great outlet, and then it turned into coaching later on, because I knew martial arts wasn't going to pay the bills, and I had to figure something else out. So that's when I started to ask, different types of questions, kind of approach it from a more jiu-jitsu kind of mindset, like what's another door that could allow me more freedom, ability to impact other people. And that's when I got into coaching, with the nutrition and fitness, kind of mindset, which is kind of a crazy story. I had a surgery on my hand. It was a double tendon laceration.
What is that?
So your tendons control your ability to close your fingers. So a double tendon laceration meant that both the tendons of my pinky were lacerated, cut in half. So I lost my ability to close my pinky. So now, that's after a $60,000 surgery.
Okay.
Right. So I was in an 11-month recovery where you've got this hook thing on your arm. And it's there to keep the tension off of the tendon so it doesn't separate. So for 11 months, I'm no rock climbing, no jiu-jitsu, no anything. No video games even. Couldn't do anything. So that was a big wave of depression, all that stuff kind of hit me. And then coming out of that, I gained almost 40 pounds.
I was going to ask you about that. I was like, did you gain some weight?
Oh, God, yeah. And that's actually how I found Herbalife.
Really?
So, I had tried to get healthy, doing it the old-fashioned way, just Whole Foods, trying to do organic, and it ended up being way too expensive. I didn't really honestly have any clue how to do that myself. So that was kind of a flop. Then I went on to do regular supplements, and that's when I learned about the FDA and the lack of accountability and regulation. And then that led me to Herbalife. And Herbalife was what showed me this whole coaching method, being able to work with people one-on-one and really achieving health goals that, typically I would associate improving your health with going to the doctor. Before I found Herbalife, and then I saw what Herbalife was doing and helping people learn how to eat properly, learning how to supplement nutrition, what needs to be supplemented and where your deficits are, and then how you can incorporate being active and exercise around that. And I just fell in love with seeing people transform. I lost 35 pounds. Now I'm up over 20 pounds of muscle. Dude, I just turned 34 last month with a 12-year-old metabolism.
Wow, that's insane.
It is. I feel like a teenager, and now I want everybody to feel that way. So it's just been kind of crazy getting into that.
Yeah. So, how did you hurt your hand?
So that actually is a story tied to my faith. I'm a believer of a different type, man. I'm not a traditional believer. I've got my own spiritual walk or whatever. But in 2011, I had kind of an awakening moment, and after that, I just really wanted to help people. And the first person that I met that I thought maybe I could help this person, they're actually walking down the street at 3 a.m. And it was a girl. She wasn't not attractive. So I'm this is kind of sketchy. She shouldn't be doing that. And of course, I was living the healthy life back then. I was on my way to McDonald's at 3 a.m. I had the munchies. So I'm going to get some food. I'm man, if she's still walking beside the road on my way back, I'm going to pick her up and offer her a ride somewhere. And sure enough, I'm driving back and she's there. And I was well, I can't be that guy. And it's 3 a.m. I'm going to pull over and be hey, get in my car. Right. It's not going to work out. So I was well, I'll sit on my front porch. She's going to walk right by. I'll offer her a ride. Long story short, she needed a ride. Gave her a ride. Got to know her. And she started telling me these stories about this guy that was following her around and really doing some really horrible things. I'll just leave it at that. And so my mindset went to old mentality of I'm Tarzan, grew up on the streets. And I was going to cut this dude's tires up.
Oh, wow.
Screw this guy, man. He's an asshole. So I'm going to go cut up his tires. And I swear God put a broken knife in my hand and lacerated both the tendons in my hand.
Oh, my God.
So I got to stab a serrated Cutco steak knife into this tire, and the handle just slides right on the blade.
Ooh.
So now I'm squeezing a serrated blade, not the handle. Yeah. So it was I just looked down and I'm oh my God, what are those little white things?
Oh my, that's nasty.
Yeah, bro.
That makes me cringe.
Oh,
bro.
dude, he was crazy. But it was interesting though. I didn't feel the pain. It was the
adrenaline.
Oh yeah, the adrenaline was going. And then I just thought about my military training, so I just applied pressure, went home and cleaned it, kept the pressure on, glued it shut. Next day went to the ER. And they're yeah, you definitely got some lacerated tendons here.
Oh my God, that's crazy. Damn. And then that kind of led to another, I guess, like you said, like a depression kind of going through that?
Yeah, big time.
And then, so then what was it like? Like, I guess picking yourself up from that, were you like, man, I just got to get my life together? Or what was it more like?
Well, I had just kind of had that realization. And then I realized during that 11 months was almost a 1 year learning process to learn patience. You know, like stop trying to fight the world yourself. Like let the world be part of it. Like a lot of people believe in the law of attraction. I believe that that's part of like spirituality is like having faith and letting things, come into your life because, you're doing the right things, you're living the right way, you're believing the right things, and the things that you're doing contribute. And I believe in that like contribution, then things come into manifestation. Yeah. So, I mean, really it was like I'd already had that realization. Then I wanted to help people as a result of that. So when that accident happened, it was kind of like this lesson of patience, like don't revert back to the way you would normally do it. Instead, like wait for me to show you a way to help people. Don't just like go out and get reckless. Yeah. Start cutting tires up. Yeah. So, that's kind of what I was thinking about that whole time I was recovering. And at the time, trying to get healthy, that's when I found Herbalife. And then I was like, wow. So like that's what you were trying to show me.
I'm curious on how that happened. Was like an ad, commercial, newspaper?
Dude, honestly, like I didn't even know Herbalife existed. Yeah. I was struggling to find results. Supplements were crappy quality, and I started learning that the FDA doesn't really regulate that stuff. They just put out these general guidelines that are like very low standards, and then they ask you to be in compliance. So it's like, okay, well, so-and-so is going to totally rip you off because they don't really have any accountability. So that's like the majority of supplements on the market. So then I started researching like, well, what company has ethics, integrity, backed by science, world-renowned, like all that stuff. And then that's how I found Herbalife on a forum, actually. It was like nutritionists and dietitians being like,
I see.
You need to go that way. Yeah. So I went to Herbalife's website. I just clicked, let me get some more information. And then I had my coach, his name's Keegan. He reached out, and he got me started on like a basic nutrition plan, and the rest is history.
Yeah.
I got to ask. I got to butt in because I am lost. I don't have no idea what Herbalife is.
Yeah.
I need to ask because I feel like we've talked about it a lot, but what is Herbalife? Like, what is the...
So Herbalife is the largest nutrition provider in the world. They're in 95 countries, been around for 42 years. And last year they did about $9.5 billion. So they're currently the world leader in nutrition. And they have, the only Nobel laureate on staff that's alive right now in nutrition science, Dr. Lou Ignarro, Dr. David Heber, who's been a professor at UCLA for over 30 years. And I mean, I could go on. Former CEO and president, or the former CEO and president of Walt Disney. They got the head of GNC now as part of the company, Rich Gudis, the former head of quality control of the FDA. Like, they got a ton of just bright minds. And currently the largest international science board of doctors, scientists, and nutritionists working together to produce this type of quality alongside a distribution network that basically goes from the soil where the plants grow all the way through the extraction, development of the product, to a coach leading you through getting the results that are intended. So it's kind of like an all-inclusive nutrition experience versus like just buying a product.
Okay, so is it like a diet plan, or is it like a pill, or like what exactly?
So it's a wide range of products. It's a healthy living lifestyle company. Yeah. So they have everything from like cellular nutrition, digestive health, healthy aging, men's health, women's health, sports nutrition, weight management, heart health, brain health. Like they've got a wide range. And then like what I do as a wellness coach is I do evaluations for people that are interested in pursuing better health. And this is how I actually got started back in 2012 with Herbalife. Yeah. So like I lost that weight, and everybody started seeing those results. They're like, well, how do I do that? Yeah. Because I mean, I had a 6-pack, man. I was like sub 5% body fat for fun. Like, what the hell? Yeah. Like, shredded up. I was like, this is crazy. So people could just see I was excited about it, and they're like, well, if you can do it, I can do it. You don't know nothing I don't know. You can go to high school. Yeah. So sure enough, we started like working out as a group, and I started sharing what I had. And helped my friend Steven lose over 80 pounds. He was 220, got down to a 6-pack. My buddy Jordan Coleman back in the day, just like him, over 80 pounds lost, got down to a 6-pack. And those were like the first people that I was like, wow, dude, like this can happen for anybody. Yeah. And then I started just helping more and more people. And it was crazy because I was working at Golden Corral, making like $1,200 a month.
What were you doing there?
waiting tables.
Oh,
yeah, which is the worst job to have ever. I don't even know
why
they call it.
You rarely get tipped.
Yeah, it's like don't call it Golden Corral. It's like mustard. Yeah, it's like yellow. It's not gold. I mean, you're literally like, because people pay at the front. They're not like thinking to tip you, so you're like looking for quarters. It's that bad.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I would make like $1,200 a month. So I was like hurting financially just so I could train martial arts all the time. And that's kind of the struggle I was in, where I was like open-minded to the opportunity to work with Herbalife and sell these products and do all this stuff. Which for me, my first month was kind of just checking it out. Made about $125. But the big thing for me I noticed was the savings in my groceries, using that discount that you get. And then replacing my food. And I saved over $500 in my groceries. So for me, I mean, combined, that was like half what I was earning. Yeah. It's like a 30% increase to my budget. I was like, this is freaking awesome. Second month, I earned over $1,000 and was like, okay, this is epic. Quit my job, which you should not do that. It's like the traditional don't do that thing.
Yeah, it's like one good month and they're like, okay, throw everything
I'll
else.
invest in my own security. So, I mean, for me, I had no plan B though. So like it worked out because of just like the raw work ethic that I poured into it. But I didn't have a car doing this. I literally was riding a bicycle around. Would wake up at 4 a.m. and pass out door hanger advertisements.
No way.
Yeah. I'd put out 300 door hanger advertisements. I get 6 phone calls.
Was that just like, I got to do this, or did you see somebody do it, or where'd that come from? Reading a book, watching a YouTube video? Like, where'd that come from?
So I have mentors.
Okay.
So one of my mentors, he's actually a Hall of Famer in Herbalife. Been in the company for over 40 years. He's personally retailed from person to person for $3 million worth of products.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. So he taught me about the law of averages. If you do something enough times, an average appears. So you can then play the law of massive action, which is basically if you do something enough times, then you'll make up for skill with that massive action. So when I was new, I just threw the work ethic at it and was like, look, we'll just do more than everybody else and I'll just figure it out. Yeah. So those door hangers were the first way I did that. Just getting phone calls, people would call me. It would say like doctor recommended, all natural, that sort of stuff. And I was like, hey, what's going on? It's Caleb, local health and wellness coach. And be like, yeah, I got this door hanger. I'll be like, yeah, cool. So, and there's a lot on there. Just tell me a little bit about, like what stuck out to you. Oh, well, it says you can lose weight and have more energy, whatever. And I was like, all right, yeah. So what we're offering is a free wellness evaluation, meet with you, show you what I'm doing, get to know you, see if we're a good fit, and help you reach those health goals. If you'd like to, come sit down, it's free and you get free samples. So then I would meet them in a Barnes & Noble cafe. Down the street. And I would ride my bike down there and I'd bring all my stuff and you'd do a little presentation. And
in a cafe where like other people can come and
yeah, Barnes & Noble. It was the Barnes & Noble Starbucks.
Okay,
yeah.
Gotcha.
So I had made friends by sampling to the person that managed the Barnes & Noble Starbucks, and I was literally using their cups and their stirrer thing to make my
teas. Did they give you a hard time?
No, I bought them off with the products.
Oh, that's
they
awesome.
loved it, man. They're like, I feel so good, man. Yeah, you can come do your appointments here. I was like, sweet. So every time I would go do one, I'd bring them a sample. And they would get us some free product, and I would do my little presentation. But the company is pretty incredible. They're like a work from home opportunity, direct sales or multi-level marketing, and they pay up to 50%. So I was able to play that law of averages again and see that if I got these 300 door hangers out, I get those 6 phone calls on a regular basis, and answering the phone the same way and kind of working on how I did that. I was able to get 4 appointments scheduled, had about an 80% ratio there, then an 80% close ratio on my presentation. So I was getting 1 or 2 customers every day. Yeah. And the average programs were about $200. So I was making between $150, $250 a day. And I started doing that 5 days a week and got my income up to $4,400 in a month. Mm-hmm. And that was kind of like where I was like, wow, like I could really like develop this into a system and I could scale it. And I could treat the products like martial arts techniques and essentially teach it like a curriculum and create more to the substance that's already there. It's like the products already do what they do. The coaching already does what it does, but I can add structure to that coaching and be more for people than just a salesperson. It's just where I think a lot of people get off track with this sort of opportunity.
So, like, I'm curious too, like, because you are, like, selling, right? So I'm just, like, kind of more curious about, like, the fact that you didn't want to stop, or why didn't you? Because a lot of people, including myself, I'm like, man, I'm not really feeling this. Like, this is not it, you know? And, I mean, he's still in sales, but some people, it's just...
At this point, that's all I know is sales. But, yeah, I get what you're saying. Like,
some people just
I hate it. I hate it.
You know what? Like me, I was like, you know what? I personally don't think, like, maybe selling in, like, that way is not for me. I just don't like it. And I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. And
which I really relate with that because I had other sales jobs that were very much like that. I mean, I worked for Verizon for a little while, sold cell phones. It was kind of the same. Worked for some car dealerships when I first got to Texas, and it's kind of the same. It's like every month you start at zero, and you got to build back up. And there's these brackets, and you got to make it to the brackets, otherwise your paycheck sucks. All that stuff. So the reason why this felt different to me is because like it's what I would call consultative selling, where like for instance, in my process, I specifically do not ask anyone to buy anything. I give clear, transparent information after finding what they're there for. I find exactly what they want. Why are you here? Like what's the most important thing you need to see improvements with? That is why you're here today. And then once we have that, I then ask them questions about their diet, and I find the holes and the deficits in their diet. Then we do a body composition analysis, and then I'll cross-reference that information and show them how there's these physiological benchmarks that you have to reach. And in your physiology, I can see those numbers exactly. And in your diet, which you're telling me you do, you're just having these issues. Maybe you're over calories and you're hitting your protein goal, or maybe you're like under protein and under calories, and you're basically on a starvation diet, but you're not losing weight because your metabolism isn't active enough. Stuff like that. Or maybe somebody's been doing keto too long and they haven't got enough protein, their metabolism's crashed, and they're then having trouble, burning more body fat than the fat intake that they have coming in, which is going to be dense calories. So it's like there's just different things that you kind of find and you're able to explain to people, so that way they see that you're not selling them a product, you're providing a solution to a problem. And that's where it like stops being sales for me, because it's like, you make this money on the front end, but that's not where the work stops for us that do it, I believe, the right way. It's like if you were to sell an average program, make $100, and it takes about 30 minutes to do that. That's like $200 an hour. Like, it's crazy. So it's like to let it be over at that point, I believe is unethical. It's like at that point, if you just left them hanging, like you didn't deserve that. So it's like after that, how are you supporting them, checking in, making sure they're making things correctly, eating correctly around the program, personalizing the program accurately, and not just throwing products at them to try to make some money. Like don't get that, because it's not going to be where the value is for what you came here for. And direct people towards the right things. Because, I mean, it's like Herbalife did $9.5 billion. The demand for the product is crazy. So it's like helping people optimize their investment into those products so they don't waste money is another big part of it. But
So is that what you do full time?
Sort of. So at this point in my opportunity with Herbalife, I'm at a position called Global Expansion Team. So basically, like, I have an organization of nutrition clubs, which are the facilities that I have. Like Freedom Nutrition is a nutrition club. And it's almost like a smoothie or shake or energy tea kind of shop that you go to. So we own and operate those, but we also are wellness coaches ourselves. And then we also mentor people in their businesses, whether they own or operate a nutrition club or within a nutrition club as a wellness coach. And then also I'm a trainer in the company. So I have like a lot of public speaking engagements, webinar sort of opportunities and things like that I'll do. But yeah, man, it's a good life. They take really good care of us.
Good deal. So is it like so Herbalife, I imagine is it all plant-based? Like so are you a vegetarian?
No.
You're not a vegetarian? So you can still eat meat like while you're... I was curious because it's literally Herbalife is kind of plant in the name. So I was curious if it's like a vegetarian type of thing, or is it...
It's honestly a balance kind of thing. So it's like we have, I mean, because you need whey protein and casein proteins for... Hold on. Yeah, so there's a balance to it. You need casein protein and whey protein for muscle synthesis. So you need to have those, especially on like the sports nutrition line. But we do have a lot of plant-based proteins for sure. Like we have some products that are completely plant-based, gluten-free, you know, all that stuff. So it just kind of depends. And that's part of like being the coach is personalizing and finding the right thing for the person. Because if somebody wants to put on muscle, I'm not going to offer them a bunch of plant-based proteins. I'm going to focus more on the whey and the casein, the BCAAs, and things that are going to help with that synthesis. And then we're going to have a lot more conversation about, how are you working out, hypertrophy, how are you breaking down the muscle, that sort of stuff. Because weight gain, typically, if you want to gain the right weight, you're going to need to incorporate a couple different things. But, that's what I love about it, too, is because there's enough diversity in the product lines that, like, you really have a lot of customization that you can do as far as specific goals. So, like, reducing inches while people are losing weight, there's specific products for that. Digestive health, there's products for that, and you can fine-tune it. So it just kind of makes it a lot more fun as far as just, being able to interact with people in a way that's more personalized than a lot of sales approaches are, which is, part of why it doesn't feel so sales approachy anyway, is because people are going to put together their own programs without all the insight. But I've invested, tens of thousands of dollars to be at over 100 corporate trainings. So it's like at that point, I can help you to translate what the products are to what they do better, help you to understand how to use them to get those intended results, and make sure that you're using the ones that you're going to enjoy the most.
So would you say keto? I don't think keto is an actual company, but I think it's just a diet plan, right? Would you say that's a big competitor? Like the keto diet is a big competitor of Herbalife?
Well, I mean, it's a big industry, the weight loss industry as a whole, and they're definitely like so there's trend diets, and trend diets, I just don't see them as relevant because like trend diets always come and they always go because they're based in an ideology, and the reason why I don't really see them as competition because they don't show up in the top numbers. Like our number one competition is actually Slim Fast, believe it or not, which is hilarious.
I haven't heard of that.
That little shake, right?
Yeah.
My mom used to take those when I was like 5 years old, bro.
It's like some weird kind of chocolate milk.
Yeah, I used to drink them for like
enjoyment.
Just drink them for enjoyment. I found them in the fridge, and I used to always take them. But they're pretty good.
I used to do it too.
Yeah.
Everybody's mom had Slim Fast.
That just doesn't.
They're still relevant.
That just kind of blows my mind that that show's like number one competitor because I haven't heard of them in.
It's like you say, they've been on for so long, and there's a whole generation of people that's what they had. And they just kept doing that, so it's that's why they're there. But
that's interesting though. Number one competition.
Yeah, isn't that funny? Yeah,
that would have been like my last guess.
You for real?
Fast, yeah.
There's another carton I usually get, or there. I don't know if you know the name. Is it? It's not Slim Fast. It's another one. Is it? Is it? No.
Premier Protein.
I don't know. It's a carton. They have a HEB. It's like
Muscle Milk.
It might be Premier. I don't know which.
It probably is Premier. That's what a lot of people are drinking.
But here and there, we'll get one, drink it for I guess breakfast. I don't know. Yeah. I don't know if it's good for you.
I used to drink a lot of Ensure.
It's kind of like so I'll kind of explain the problem with a lot of supplements out there is these companies, they're never going to see you. You're never going to see them. HEB needs to make some money. That company needs to make some money. Yeah. And they also don't have a production line all the way to the cow farm. So they got to buy, dairy, from somebody that has a cow farm. So the guy with the cow farm, he's selling that milk. Same regulations apply to him as what is coming from the FDA for the whole supplement industry. It's all food. So that guy can dilute that milk and sell it diluted. And it's actually in compliance with the FDA. Right. So then the guy that's going to extract the whey protein out of that dairy is going to get a lower yield than they expected. So what are they going to do? Same thing. So then they can cut it up, add fillers to that, and then they sell that to the guy that's going to put together Slim Fast.
I see.
And then the guy that's at Slim Fast, well, HEB needs to make some money, and I need to make some money too, so what are we going to do with this? And then they cut it up. So it's like, that's where, I've had customers that drink 6 Premier Proteins a day.
Damn.
And, right.
Good grief.
Straight up. And tell me how this happens. The doctor tells them they're under protein.
That's
because there's not as much protein as what's on the label.
Oh,
that's what it is.
I see.
If you go and you look at the Halo Top ice cream, this is a crazy situation. You can go look at this right now. So there's Halo Top ice cream. It says 3 servings.
What is Halo Top ice cream?
It's a protein ice cream.
You know what? I think I bought that last night.
Yeah. So you got a can?
I think so. Can you check the freezer? Yeah.
Yeah. So
I think I did. I bought some ice cream last night.
I want to
healthy.
say it says 7, 8, 9 grams, something like that, of protein per serving, and 3 servings per container, right? So that would be 27, 30-ish grams of protein, right?
Yeah.
Tell me why the container says 89 grams of protein.
There's no way.
It's exactly what it says. It's straight lying to your face. It's hilarious. And you can catch this stuff if you know what to look for. There's a lot of stuff like that, for sure.
I bought something.
Keto.
Yeah.
Oh, no, this. Look, I'm going to show you my ice cream I got.
Keto ice cream?
Caleb do a review on this.
All right, let's see what you got here. All right. Let's see. Let's see if your containers is honest. Let's see. 3. Yeah, your container is actually legit.
Okay, that isn't the one that I know which one you're talking about because I seen it yesterday when I was trying to get some ice cream.
Yeah, I mean this isn't too bad. I mean it's
What is that? Nick's?
So
I don't know. But what are you looking for here?
So I mean it's ice cream, so it's not going to be perfect.
Yeah.
What I consider perfect is like a 10-to-1 calorie to a gram of protein ratio. So 10 calories per gram of protein. That's considerably perfect.
Per serving or per container?
per quantity. So like,
Damn.
if you took like 100 calories, 10 grams of protein, that'd be a great ratio.
Okay.
Because if you can maintain that sort of ratio in your diet, then you're going to have a strong metabolism and you're not going to be at a high body fat percentage, period.
Okay.
You just won't be.
What about this big old keto right here?
Ice cream bars,
attractive
man.
box. Attractive, really attractive box.
It's a super
That's why I got
basic
it.
box.
It's attractive
It is.
to me.
It looks
That's
like your
why I
shirt,
got
bro.
it.
It looks like your shirt.
So I got it. I was like, this looks nice, and it says keto.
I mean, it's keto. So here's
It's not Herbalife,
I'll
dude.
explain to you.
Herbalife ice cream.
Well, I'll explain to you kind of the problem that I find with keto, and this is a great example of it.
Okay.
So like keto, right? Majority trying to teach your body burn body fat for energy, so then you burn all your body fat off. It's kind of like somewhat of the idea there, and then that's kind of the 60% of your diet, and then about like 30% is going to be proteins, and maybe 5 to 10% is carbohydrates. Something like that is usually what I've heard. So your metabolism is built from your muscle mass. Your muscle mass determines your basal metabolic rate's potential to burn calories and create energy.
Real quick. So I have a question while you're talking about that. So I have obviously I do not have any muscle mass.
Clearly.
Shut the fuck up. But my metabolism, I went to a 5-star nutrition. When was it? When we were going to the gym, probably 6 or 7 months ago. And my metabolism, I did the little machine where you hold the bars and they test your metabolism. Mine was 1,200 calories burnt at rest.
Yeah. So that's
my metabolism is hyper speed. So why, if I don't have any muscle mass, why is my metabolism so fast?
So some of that information must have been incorrect because 1,200 calories would be really slow. But I'm sure maybe it's 2,200 or something like that. Maybe you had a 12-year-old metabolic age.
Maybe, I don't know, because he said my metabolism was super fast because I burned a lot of calories at rest.
So there's a couple reasons for that. Some people just genetics. They have a really fast metabolism. They've been hyperactive or very active their whole life.
Yeah.
And then another one is a lot of caffeine intake. Caffeine's a stimulant.
Nicotine have anything to do with it?
I'm not sure that nicotine would, but caffeine definitely can help you to keep a fast metabolism. But yeah, so typically for most people that are in a I am looking to manage my weight, they're usually not your type. They're usually, it's a little bit harder to lose weight, slower metabolism on average. And that's where for instance the keto example, that had 3 grams of protein, about 170 calories. And that's because the majority of the calories came from I think it was 16 or 17 grams of fat. So 17 grams of fat to 3 grams of protein. So that's a 5% ratio there. 5% of the diet is protein based on that food item at least. So when you do that, again, your metabolism is going to be based from muscle mass. That's what determines your basal metabolic rate's potential to create energy. So you have to give your body protein to sustain your muscle mass. And sustaining that muscle mass is what's going to sustain that basal metabolic rate, which is going to be how many calories you'll burn per day. So when people say you'll burn that per day at rest, that's actually not true.
I had no idea what this guy was talking about. I just got on the machine and he said, "Yo, your metabolism's super fast. You need to take in this much protein and all this, and then work out this much." And I was like, "Wow, that's a lot of protein to eat."
Yeah, and that's kind of where you need to have pure protein, and that's where I'm really grateful for Herbalife because they have things like NSF approval ratings for 99.9% purity levels for people up to the Olympic level of athleticism.
Yeah.
So very, very clean also, not just pure. Because it's if you're eating supplements that are Premier Protein, not to pick out a single company, but that's one that I'm familiar with where a customer came in and they gave an example where they were drinking 6 of those a day, but the doctor said they're under protein. Yeah, it's you shouldn't be under protein drinking 6 of those things a day if you're getting what's on the label.
Yeah.
So it's you're going to get calories if you don't get that protein because you're going to get the fillers. So that's where purity matters because you think you're getting your protein goal, but you're not. You think you're under calories, but you're not because they can lie about the calories just as much as they can lie about the protein.
That's crazy.
Yeah, so it's
nobody's going to ask any questions because they just read and trust it.
Yeah, because why wouldn't it be honest?
Yeah.
It's you wouldn't expect it to lie to you. And why would the FDA let you? Oh, wait, because Big Pharma.
Yeah.
Money.
Yeah, that's exactly why.
Yeah.
I want to talk about kind of maybe more of the storyline, how you ended up here. Because you say you're from Virginia.
Yep.
More of the, I guess, the journey. So you started, I guess, picking it up. And how did, I guess, you started growing, or how does that work?
Yeah, so I started to, get the traction going with those door hangers, and I saw that I needed to scale my business, and ultimately I wanted to be close to my mentors. So kind of a crazy story along the way. In 2013, I tried to move to Dallas to be near my mentors in Plano, because that's where my coach was. They called me up, just randomly. So I go out there, and I'm trying to maintain that same strategy. I had saved up enough money to get this little Volkswagen, so I drove it out there with everything I owned in there on the 4th of July, actually, in 2013, so 9 years ago.
Oh, wow.
And go out there, and I'm trying to do door hangers in Dallas, right?
Yeah.
That doesn't work.
I bet.
Yeah. They're like, we've seen these for 30 years, bro.
Oh, really?
Yeah, well, they've just been doing door hangers since the dawn of time in Dallas. So, nobody's calling that door hanger.
Yeah.
So, what was working in small town Lynchburg, Virginia, wasn't working in big city of Dallas. So, I'm like financially just like kind of burning out, And I'm busting my tail, climbing enough stairs every day, passing these things out to go up and down the Empire State Building multiple times every day.
Yeah.
Right. So, like, it was crazy. And, I'm struggling financially. I had been told, like, I was going to crash with this other guy. He had an extra room. I'm paying him some rent on the side. Kind of threw this thing together willy-nilly. And I get there, and this dude doesn't even have an extra room. He's got a couch in his living room.
Oh,
and that's what I'm renting. So I'm like, oh, my God, this is awful. So I'm, like, going broke in the situation.
Did you stay there or no?
I was there, bro. I had no other choice. So I'm living in this freaking couch and trying to figure out how to like build a business.
That's insane.
Yeah. So I go broke, man. I go broke, and my mentor calls me up. My sponsor Keegan, his father,
And this
Dan,
was in Dallas, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
His father Dan calls me up, and he's like, "Stop what you're doing. Why don't you just come live with me?"
Where?
And this was in a $3 million mansion in Plano.
Wow.
Yeah, it's crazy. It was crazy, man. We're talking like 30-foot ceilings in the bedroom.
Yeah.
Like
Holy shit.
100 windows on the back of the house, a little waterfall that comes from the hot tub into the pool.
I'd still be
Exit.
living with him.
Hey,
never leave.
I didn't really want to leave, but I just knew I had to, because like, even though he took me in and was helping me like that, I mean, it was amazing. I got to witness just a high level of living,
I bet that was nice. Like motivational.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Like just to have the vision of like, like executives in my neighborhood, CEOs live in my neighborhood. There's a phantom as I'm driving out of the neighborhood.
Yeah.
This guy's on 18 conference calls a day,
Sheesh.
talking with research and development committees and executives and CEOs and talking about future product launches and stuff like that. And being able to be around that level of leadership was just
Real
like,
mentorship right there.
right. Yeah. Getting to live it. I
Yeah.
mean, and he left the country for like 10 days to go do an event in Germany, Cologne. And he was like the guest speaker for that event.
Wow.
Right. And 60,000 probably showed up for that.
He
Not
left
sure
you the
camera.
house by yourself?
Yeah.
I would have threw a fucking rager,
get
bro.
this-
No, fuck that. No way.
This relationship is worth so much more. So
No way.
But dude, get this. They were such welcoming people. They made me a key and greeted me at the door as their son.
Wow.
Right? Like, Caleb, welcome home, son. And I'm just like, what in the world's going on? But that was like what made me fall in love with Herbalife more than just as an opportunity. That's part of why it's not really like a sales job to me.
Yeah.
It's because like these people, they've done so much for me and taught me so much about life and discipline and getting through these struggles. Because like, come to think about it, like I wasn't making them any money when they invited me to live in their house.
And that leads to a question that I have. Why did they take you in?
Hard work, ethics.
They seen that in you? So
integrity,
you already was kind of
discipline.
showing that?
So my fourth month, I did over 10,000 in production
Oh.
from my kitchen.
Okay.
Without a car. So
Oh, wow.
Right.
And they knew all this, right?
right, and
Yeah.
we were in close communication.
Yeah.
Like it got to the point to where like I'm talking with Keegan on the phone at first, and then he introduces me to Dan over the phone. And they're like, "Well, what do you want your future to look like?" And what I'm describing is their life. So they're like, "Oh, he's one of us." And then we and Dan started talking on the phone more and more and more to where it became like a very regular kind of conversation. So they know a lot about where I want to take my life and the kind of impact I want to have on the community, and I understand there's nothing that's going to stop me. So it's like,
And they kind of seen that in you?
yeah,
That's
yeah.
good, man. Like, for someone to just, hey, man, come live with me. That's
Bro.
crazy.
And then they left the country,
yeah.
and they're like, eat all the food in the refrigerator, and Julio the maid. Oh my
It's like,
god,
which
I love
refrigerator?
Julio.
For real.
Yeah, right. But I mean, that was like the main thing was Julio was this sweetheart maid that they have there, and she would always make our breakfast for us and then take care of us and all that stuff. And
What was that like, though, man? From a couch to that? That's
I mean, honestly, dude, it's like something very hard to describe to people.
yeah, I bet. Yeah.
Because I mean, it's like I wake up my bedroom has its own thermostat. I've got my own bathroom.
Wow.
You know, I'm getting ready. I've got a little like office there in the bedroom, and then I leave the room and I'm overlooking a balcony into what they call the great room from 30 feet up. And there's a spiral staircase made of marble and a fountain and a statue. And like these windows
That's
going
a
from
movie.
ceiling
Some
to
Scarface shit, bro.
exactly. Yeah. I mean, next door to my bedroom was the theater. You know,
Yeah.
you can go and sit down. This dude has like Cassius Clay signatures next to his opponents that like you never see the Muhammad Ali Cassius Clay signature.
Yeah.
Like that's his original slave name, and he didn't like that name, so he didn't use it. Cassius Clay was his original name, Muhammad Ali. So then he used the alias Muhammad Ali. So he's got the Cassius Clay signature.
Wow.
Oh, shit.
Along with the opponent. Oh yeah, and we're talking memorabilia. Just the whole walls were covered with gloves, Pacquiao, and all that. Like the jacket he was wearing the night he entered the fight, autographed by the man with a message. You know, like just crazy stuff. And to be around that was just kind of crazy. But that showed me just like the potential of what can happen. You know, there's this quote, you know, solve enough problems for other people and all your problems will be solved in the process. And it's kind of like with every person that we help, we solve a real problem. And with every, you know, transformation that we create another walking example of how your life can change. And that's really why I think, you know, Herbalife has grown to these 95 countries and 9.5 billion without any advertising.
Yeah.
And that's why they've attracted people like Cristiano Ronaldo.
Yeah.
You know, Cristiano, you know, he got sponsored by the company because he was already using the products and he ran out of a product and he went to an Herbalife Nutrition Club like the one that I own and was like, hey, you guys got to rebuild strength. I'm trying to get my post-workout, you know. And they're like, yeah, we do actually. And can we get a picture with you, please? So then they got a picture with him and they sent it into Herbalife. And Herbalife was like, wait, what? Like, do you have any idea how much we'd have to pay to get that picture, you know? So then they reached out to Cristiano and they were like, so what's the story here?
Yeah.
And apparently like he's got some family ties to Herbalife and stuff like that. And he loves the products. So he's been using those. And they were like, well, because you're like that, we want to, you know, sponsor you and we want to work with you to actually develop products. So they built a CR7 Drive, a product based on his body physiology.
Yeah.
Just to help him keep up with his own performance, like electrolytes, B vitamins, and things for brain function and mental focus and stuff like that. But yeah, man.
Yeah, when I heard about that, I was like, oh, wow. That's it. Because I'm a big soccer fan.
I'm not a soccer fan, but everybody knows Cristiano. So
Yeah.
Yeah. He got a Nobel Prize for physical human perfection.
He did?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that, but I'm sure.
Yeah. Can you imagine? Like,
Yeah.
I'm so fit, I got a Nobel Prize.
Yeah.
What in the world is that?
nice.
Yeah,
I just got a beer gut.
Right. Well, maybe Nobel Prize for everything.
Yeah. Hey. Yeah.
I was going to ask, what are some biggest, like, I guess, lessons or things that you took out of, like, I guess, living there? Because, like I said, that mentorship had to be, like, really good, like, to be exposed to that and just seeing a lot of things. What things probably stood out to you, like, where you really took, you know, and just always now still with you? Yeah,
I mean, one of the main things is like staying neutral, staying grounded, and being honest with yourself and tracking what you're doing. You know, a lot of people, they don't track their numbers and whatever it is that they do, whatever it is that determines your progress. They're not tracking that. So in a sense, you don't know where you're even at. You're just kind of like hoping for things. But when you track your progress and you utilize things like the law of averages, you can project future outcomes. And then you can also show a like simulated benchmark of where you should be and when you should be there, and know when you need to turn up the law of massive action, for instance, do more of whatever the thing is that generates that progress to make up for a deficit of results. So things like that have stuck with me for sure. And then just, you know, it's like problems happen for those that are going places. So like embracing problems and treating them all as learning experiences. That's probably one of the most invaluable learning opportunities that I had, was learning that, because it almost makes you like okay with struggle and the problems that exist, and it almost validates what's going on, because it's not a problem out of negligence, it's a problem out of opportunity. You know, negligence, obviously, like those problems, like you got other problems that you need to worry about. But like those weren't the kind of problems that we're reaching in business. Business problems are typically like, you know, adjustments in the market. Like for instance, 2020, you brought that up. We opened our club 5 weeks before coronavirus.
Oof,
I bet that was tough.
Crazy.
It was insane. I mean, it was like, you got 8 years poured into this opportunity. You just spend every dollar that you have, but you don't get your lobby. Good luck.
Yeah.
And we actually were paying rent rates and stuff off of a booming market, so we had the disadvantage of that. But you know, that was more of like what my mentors taught me was like, when times are harder, you work harder. And you got to not get mentally weird and go mentally negative. You got to stay neutral. Don't go false positive. False positive is kind of like where you're like, oh, it's not even a problem. I don't even need to change anything. It's false positive. Now you're not prepared and then you struggle.
I want to hear like an example. Like, I'm always curious about that, how people handle, maybe obstacles or struggles. Because I think sometimes, like, I tell myself, sometimes I handle problem good, sometimes I don't. So like now, around those people and whatever you've learned throughout, the years, I guess like facing obstacles, what is it like how you handle them? Is it just like, oh man, like this is what it is, this is what we got to do? Or what's the approach on it?
Yeah. So, getting it external. So like just an example is like, when I was in Dallas, eventually, like door hangers were never going to work. So whether I lived in that mansion and got that mentorship or not, door hangers were never going to work. And I didn't have an alternate business plan besides that one.
Oh, you were just like door hangers all the way?
Yeah, bro. I was screwed when those didn't come through. I flatlined. And I was like, I actually had to take a step back for like 2-3 years.
Really?
Yeah. And that meant I had to pack up all my stuff and go back to Virginia.
That's
Talk
tough.
about a humbling experience. Yeah. And
that's tough, dude.
Yeah. And I was like qualifying VIP for things. I was like experiencing.
Oh, shoot. You were
very
out there.
high level. I met Des Walsh, former president of Walt Disney. Or former CEO of Walt Disney. Can't remember CEO or president. He was the current president of Herbalife Nutrition when I met him. At a part of that I qualified for like 5 months into the opportunity.
Sheesh.
So I went from that to like humble.
Yeah.
And had to go back to Virginia. And that's where I was like, man. So kind of like the problem there, obviously there's a lot of emotional things going on in that environment.
Yeah, for sure.
So like the first thing I had to do was realize it's a product of my pursuits that I have this problem, and this problem is something that has to be kind of like, you have to isolate it in order to become more aware of its characteristics. So it has to become external. If it's internal, you identify with it and then you see yourself as part of the problem. It's important to separate from that. And to externalize that problem and look at it objectively. I don't have a business tool that duplicates to other people that equates to growth, and I don't have adaptability to be able to find clients in any climate or any situation. So those are the major problems I was facing.
Yeah.
So to kind of like retrain myself, I just was like, all right, well, I'm going to go back to employment and learn to appreciate self-employment again and allow my mind time for my subconscious to produce those ideas that I need to innovate my business structure and how I operate.
Really?
Yeah, because like your subconscious is the key. You fertilize your subconscious with the ideas that you're reading, things that you're watching, people you talk to, mentorship, all that stuff. Your influences are going into your subconscious as like seeds essentially, and then the ideas coming from that are based on what you put in your mind. So I was listening to audiobooks. I don't do a lot of entertainment, to be perfectly honest. That's why I like music references and entertainment references. They're just over my head.
Yeah.
But, it is what it is.
It's a good thing, though.
Sure, it could be. So
I want to tell you, too, there's some water if you get thirsty.
Yeah, I talk a lot.
Yeah, I was like, I know mine, because I got 2 over here, but I don't know if you took the other one. Or
I
who took
keep
it.
seeing that like jar thing over there. I'm like, is that like a...
It's a big-ass cup.
Yeah, my sister got it for me from Mexico.
That's probably why I keep thinking it's got salsa in it.
I'm still waiting for one of us to use it.
No.
No?
No.
It's not usable?
No.
Does it got some ashes in it or something?
No, I just don't want you to use it. I don't want to get dirty.
Well, I don't want to use it. I was saying like maybe you can use it.
Nah, just keep it empty. Like
I'm not going to use that dirty thing. Dude, I'm a germaphobe. I don't like dust and stuff.
Okay, dude.
I'm sure it's cool.
Like it's neat.
Yeah. Anyways.
Made in Mexico.
Those red eyes, man. He's got some problems.
Yeah.
I didn't notice that.
That's a demon, bro.
For real. There's something wrong with this guy.
I don't know.
But yeah, so like kind of like separating from those problems so that way I could isolate it from like a third perspective and then see where the flaws were and then kind of go back to learning again. So that way.
How was that like kind of going back to work and people asking you like, hey, you still doing that? Or why are you working?
It was actually epic.
Really?
Well, again, mindset's everything, like if you have a winner's mindset, you never fail.
Yeah.
You just grow and you learn and you go forward. So like when I'm going back to work because I'm going to be successful in the end. I'm not going back to work because I'm going to be stuck here forever.
Yeah.
So there's a difference, like when people see me, I was actually more powerful as an employee after going through all that than I ever was before Herbalife.
Yeah.
I mean, I was it was funny too, because I was like, well, where did my mentor start? His last job before he started with Herbalife was actually at Golden Corral.
Oh, wow.
So I wouldn't wait
crazy.
until it was at Golden Corral. I was like, I'm just going to, or not Golden Corral, I'm sorry, Olive Garden. So I went to Olive Garden to follow in his footsteps just for fun.
Yeah.
And just do that for a little while. I'd experienced waiting tables. So I was like, I'm going to do that. And then I got offered a job managing a tropical smoothie. And I was like, oh, well, that's like, I want to open a nutrition club one day.
Yeah.
So I'm going to do that, and I'm going to back engineer how they're operating and try to like gain some information I can take with me in the future. So I did that, managed and helped open new stores and stuff like that in Virginia, right across from Virginia Tech in Blacksburg, Virginia. And then funny story, not funny, but kind of tragic, but another difficult time was we went to an event learning how to open up nutrition clubs for Herbalife, and I used my vacation hours to go there, got approval and everything. Business owner knew that that's what I was going to do, and it's crazy. Dude fires me the last day of that event by text message.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
and
lame.
Well, he's Tropical Smoothie. I'm opening up a shake shop. So he's thinking, like, yeah, competition coming. And
he really felt that way?
Well, bro, the first thing that goes in a Tropical Smoothie is like a half cup of sugar.
Yeah.
So there's nothing healthy about Tropical Smoothie. And here we are representing the number one nutrition company in the world. Yeah. So he's feeling very threatened, which is hilarious.
He shouldn't have felt that way.
No, he shouldn't have. It was horrible of a decision for him to make. But that kind of low character, now his regional manager has left and is actually owning a nutrition club in Virginia under my organization. So, it's like what goes around comes around.
Tables have turned.
Yeah. Karma's a bee, man. Karma's a bee. But yeah, so there's been a lot of learning experiences. But the main thing is like, always coming back to the fact that if your vision is real and you're convicted by it with belief that that's what you want for your life, then it's always going to be worth it if you don't quit.
Because like right now, I think this year I'm facing like some challenges. I think last year I was doing pretty good, hung around like making decent money sales. Like, oh, this is cool, But then like I told you, I was like realizing this is not what I want, it's not what I do. And honestly, this right here is my passion. I love it, and I want to take it a long way to do a lot of other things. And I left the job. I took probably like half pay cut, you could say, not making as much. And then now, unfortunately, the housing market, rent market is getting weird, and it's getting too much where I'm being real with myself. I was like, is this even realistic? I'm going to have to get out of here probably in the next 3 months and probably go back to my parents. And I'm thinking like, look, you leave, you go over there, you save some money, and then you try and get something else. But it's just like those things where like, I'm trying not to, I guess, like tell myself like, no, you should stay here and pay that extra money, or you should have kept that job to keep all that money. Because now I like this kind of like, I think about this. I'm like, how does this benefit me to, give him more time on the podcast? Podcast has done a lot better since I left the job. Who knows what's going to happen after I leave here? But I know leaving that job at first, I was like, fuck. And I know she was there, like, seeing me sad, upset, dude. Like, my life was sucky for, like, 2-3 months, finding a job. And I didn't have a job. Not the smartest thing to do, right?
It's tough.
Yeah, but it's just, like, I knew I had to do this thing, focus on the podcast, figure ways out, figure things out, and really, like, like, maybe, like, feelings like you had where I was like, man, I got to do this. And then I was super stubborn on finding a job in IT, bro. Super stubborn. I was like, this is the only way. I went to another dealership and left, like, the first day. I don't know if you know that story.
No,
I was like,
me, yeah.
I went, I got it, and I was like, bro, I do not want to do this. And I was like, this is not, and I know it's kind of maybe not the best thing to do, but that was like in me, like I couldn't accept it. Yeah. What and then I, finally got the job in IT, which the reason why I was leaving the Allen Samuels was because I had a job like kind of like getting lined up, and then all of a sudden like it fell out.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, and like it was just like they're a pretty big company. I don't know if they seen that they couldn't hire employees because they knew the market was gonna go down, but it was like a decent paid job. Pay cut wasn't gonna be too bad. And I was like, okay, bet, like I'll still be making a decent amount of money. It's gonna be good. Nope, and then it's just like it was been tough. And then now, like I look back and I was like, man, like it's been such a learning experience. Podcast, I mean, is grown. Everything like this. Who knows if this setup would have been like this if that didn't happen?
Right.
And there's a lot of just good things that come out of it.
Yeah.
And a lot of people look at it from the outside and be like, why'd you do that?
Well, and you're gonna go through a lot if you're doing anything real, man. Because like, to be perfectly honest, and obviously I'm a little bit biased, but I just feel like, working hard for entrepreneurialism is where you're gonna have the most fulfillment from what you're doing. Yeah. Just because like you can get out from underneath the confinements of like someone dictating your life, and in order to do that, that's gonna be really hard. Because how many people are self-employed?
Not many.
Like what? 1 to 5%, maybe.
Yeah,
successfully self-employed is the biggest thing.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Not struggling hard, but it's like how many entrepreneurs have to go through so much to get there. You know, it's like I can remember there were months, you know, I was living in a basement, $150 a month. You know, and it's like you live in a basement with like 4 other people upstairs. You know, it's like how many people are even willing to go through that? Yeah. You know, it's like the reason why you go through that is because like you are reinvesting everything, and that's where it's like. My mentors taught me, like, all of your expenses need to be investments. If there's no return on it, it better be mandatory for your existence.
See, and that's something that I'm barely learning now.
Yeah,
right? trying to learn.
I'm trying to figure that shit out myself. I'm 26.
Right. Yeah, and it's like, you know, if there's interest on it, what are you doing? If you don't have money to buy it, you don't have money to buy it.
Yeah.
And if you don't have money to buy it and you buy it, now you don't have money to invest with because you're paying interest.
Yeah.
Your money is for investments, and then you'll get returns. And then when your returns are more than your overhead, then you have profit.
Yeah, money's smart.
Yeah, and then you reinvest your profit and you compound it, and then you have overflow, and then you have staff.
Yeah.
And now you're buying your time back by paying the staff. Mm-hmm. And then that's when you can scale your business, and then you can essentially have more overflow. Then you have financial freedom, you have a staff, and now you can expand.
Yeah.
And that's what gets exciting. And then when you get into that expansion phase.
But to get there.
Journey. Yeah, well, you know,
that's it is.
A lot of businesses fail in those first couple of years, and it's not because their products don't work or their business model is not going to work, because somebody's made those things work in other places. It's all about the mindset. You know, where's your mind at? Because, like, you know, you can see a problem as something that's going to cause you to close your business, or you can see it as a way that's going to close your competitors, and you have an opportunity to market a new way and then gain new market.
Yep.
You know?
Yeah, we're, going 2 years in October since I started this, and maybe, and, like, the first year, it was like, we'll see. I didn't really, honestly, I didn't really start taking it serious till I left that job. It's just, like, you know, asking myself, like, what do you want to do with your life? Like, you're here, you're comfortable. I was like, I'm comfortable. I'm making, you know, there's days that, like, I can work and get away with being lazy so many other days. And then just a lot of reality checks, and it's like, what do I want to do? And, you know, I was like, time to get, like, I want to do this for real. And then, you know, but I'm sure there's people that look from the outside, like, why is he still doing that? Whatever.
Oh, they always are.
Yeah, and I'm just like, the amount of work I put in just in everything, just even the last maybe month, like, you know, just growing. And it's learning to embrace the journey, appreciate everything, and not, like, I guess just like you said, just work really hard on it. And it's beautiful when you realize how hard you're working, you know, like, like now that's one thing I learned. Like, I cared not too much, but I cared a little bit, you know, on social media, stuff like that. And I was like, man, like, but no one's seeing when I'm in that corner, like, working, editing, you know, or when I face the trouble, or, like, you know, I don't know if you knew, but the podcast with Cade, the last guest I had, that podcast, I don't know what happened. It disappeared from my flash drive. It was gone. It's like 40 gigs of memory, like, you know. And I'm like calling her. I'm like, yo, what the? And I was freaking out. I was working, and I was like, I don't know what to do. And, like, I literally had to take a step back, like, pace myself all over here. What do I need to do? What do I need to do? And luckily, I'm, like, somewhat educated. And I was like, let me see if I can, like, get this back with some software. And luckily, I did. And it was crazy. And it was like, what do I do? But that was a moment where I was like, I felt proud to put it out. And the quality wasn't the same, but it was. I could still put it out.
Yeah,
and
the
content. You know, I was like, dang, like, I could have lost that. And that guy he's doing good on TikTok. He's, like, hitting 700K. But it was just like, that was looking forward to that. And it was just like, that could have been a moment for me. I was like, I could have really messed this up and gave up. I was like, you know what? Audio version only, no video content, no TikToks for the week. But I was like, nah, that's not going to happen, you know. And that's what happens when, like, I tell myself, if I was this person a year ago, I wouldn't have went through all that to do it, you know. But it's just like all those challenges, and that's when I'm super thankful for the challenges that I face. And, like, learning those things now is just like, man, when something bad happens, I'm like, okay, like, you know, that approach, this is a learning experience. What am I going to take out of this? You know, when a podcast does or does not good, it's always a learning experience, and always be proud, like, have that pride and be super proud of my work. And that's one thing that I struggle with a lot, like, thinking, you know, this is not good enough or whatever, you know. But I got to be real with myself. Like, dude, you're just starting out, you're learning, you know, and just, you know, keep busting your butt off, and it'll start to happen. And, you know, believing and all that stuff, it's an amazing feeling.
Yeah, and you just don't know what it's going to be that's going to get you traction.
Yeah.
And when you
that's
do,
another thing.
Everything changes.
Yeah, it's
you know, it's like 2020, you know, it was like a turning point for me, even though, it was such a negative year.
Yeah.
You know, it was the first year I completed a 6-figure income.
Yeah. Even when I like reached out, you know, the first time, and that was, you know, that was the beginning of my journey.
Right.
And it led to this now. But it was just like, how do you start a business when that's happening? You didn't know. Nobody knew.
Yeah, right.
But it's just like, that's what I'm most impressed. And I'm like, I'm not even surprised you're killing it right now. Like, you survived that. Anyone who survived that and like really made profits, I was like, you're doing something.
Well,
you know?
At
and
the
talk
end of the
about
day,
that. Like, what was that like?
Bro, you know, honestly, it was laser focus on I'm here for a reason. I'm here because I'm going to help society. I'm going to help change habits. We're going to get people healthier. We're going to change the routines of people all over our community. We're going to become known as the place you go to for health results. And, you know, as long as we're doing our job, which is that, then there's no reason why we would fail, because there's so many people that are looking for health improvements. Yeah. You know, and it's like, you know, with that kind of a large scale problem, you can never solve that problem. Yeah. Like it'll have more people being born, growing up into unhealthy lifestyles faster than we can solve those problems. Yeah. So it's indefinite. So it's kind of like we've got this overwhelming task. So it's like kind of seeing that for what it is and kind of like taking ownership of that problem and having pride in that problem and fighting that problem. It's kind of like, you know, some people want to serve in the U.S. Armed Forces. Some people want to serve in changing habits, people's health. Yeah. But both things are going to improve the quality of lives, whether by providing freedoms and security or giving you energy and mental clarity, focus, you know, so you don't fall asleep on your kids every night. Yeah. You know, you can be a present parent, or you can, you know, work effectively and not feel miserable at your job, or, you know, feel like your body's broken down because you work too hard, you know, all the time. These are all things that we see on a really regular basis, just because, you know, people do have problems with access to things that are going to improve their life. But yeah, man, it's crazy when you have value to add. That's why, like, I love podcasts, because like essentially all we're doing is we're sharing information, we're sharing experiences, and we're allowing people to kind of like get a window into a life where we can then, you know, add some value to them, you know.
And that's kind of why I started this, is like, I wanted to be like, in my head, I was like, this is going to be something one day when I started. And I was like, I want to show the first video to be there, and then to whenever whoever's watching it, to show how much we've grown, and just to show, like, you know, it is possible. And that's why, you know, I told him, I was like, hey, man, we got to get a new setup and just have guest after guest. Because I had a realization when he was on vacation. It's just like, you know, what's the whole point of this? Right. It's like to have people on, share their stories, and, you know, be entertained, get some form of value, you know, and just, I guess, have a good time.
Right.
So, you know, and that's what it is. And I guess I want to know also, too, like, in 2020, you knowing, I mean, what was going on, like, what did you do? Like, you said you weren't open, you couldn't physically be open, right?
So we had to close our lobby. We had to serve curbside, and then we did free delivery, contactless delivery, set up an online payment portal for people to pay online, and then we would deliver for free as an incentive to try to draw business.
So what was the approach on that, since you were new, and like you had it, like, I mean, for someone to be new and like, hey, we got curbside, it's just like, first of all, we don't even know who you are.
Right.
You know? Yeah.
Well, luckily, right before COVID, you know, I had actually done my own type of marketing the way I do. Kind of like I was going out and doing all those door hangers. I actually went to, like, every local business.
I've seen your cards everywhere. I'm sure you had too.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm sure I've seen.
The Freedom Nutrition. Yeah. I forgot where I would go. And I was like, damn, this thing, you know, and that's kind of what caught my eye. I was like, okay, like, this guy's marketing, like, he's going to want to do some marketing, you know? And that's what I thought. Because I seen it everywhere. Yeah. So that's how that happened.
Yeah. So I had a strategy. I would go to the businesses, introduce myself, talk about what we offer, what we do, and the products and results that you can get with that sort of thing. Then offer a half off shake and tea card. So essentially like a meal replacement shake and an energy tea. So if you wanted to, you know, check it out, here it is half off. And then also I'd invite the whole staff in like that. Yeah. And then we would come back and we would bring samples and let everybody try it. Yeah. You know, that'd be the energy tea, because like it's going to light your energy up. You're going to feel the difference. And then you're going to be like, well, where's that coupon? You know, like, let me go use that. So we would do that. And then we would do a lot of like Instagram, you know, stories and posts and stuff like that. A lot of our marketing has come through our networking and social media. Yeah. You know, a lot of our customers are checking in and posting and sharing and stuff like that. And that's, again, you know, when you have a product that yields a physical change for people, like in real time, like that day changes as a result of coming in, like people talk about that. Yeah. So a lot of it too is just like, we didn't compromise our ethics when it came to when we made our recipes and our menu. There's a lot of businesses, unfortunately, even in our industry, that aren't necessarily as committed to changing the health of the community, but more so looking at it as a great lucrative business model.
Yeah.
And when you cross that line, you stop focusing on the person that's consuming the product and how it's going to change their day, and you're more thinking how the profits are going to stack up.
Yeah.
And that's a dividing, line for me. Like I stay on the side of results. I'll invest in my customers and the results they're going to get and put more nutrition in there, not raise that price. Like for instance, all of our ingredients have gone up for us 16% in cost.
But I did see you post that. Yeah.
Right. But I haven't raised prices.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I haven't raised prices because I believe that part of adding value to the community is being a solution. So right now, everybody's complaining about high prices.
Yeah.
So be a solution with lower prices and don't raise them, and then try to make up for losses in creating new volume instead of having to say, hey, look, I'm going to take the easy way out. Customer pay more money. My problem solved.
Yeah.
You're basically putting a barrier in front of your customer versus creating a path of least resistance. Yeah. So it's like, don't dam them out. Dam them in.
Yeah.
Let the problem be the dam.
Yeah.
They're looking for a way to eat healthy for cheap.
Now, I do want to also ask, I've heard some not the most positive stories about Herbalife.
Sure.
What do you got to say about that? Because I have to ask you that.
Dude, I love these questions, man.
Yeah, because
bro, I'm devil's advocate for Herbalife. Like I came into it skeptical.
Yeah.
Because, dude, I was a guy that was approached by Amway, Cutco, all the MLMs and stuff like that. And I'm not about it because, I don't think that, I have not seen any good examples outside of Herbalife at executing on the multi-level marketing business model in a way that is service-oriented at its core, that is for the good of all and well-balanced. There's just, and I'm sure there's companies out there, but, I haven't seen them represented well to the point where I've been able to acknowledge them. But it's like all these MLM, multi-level marketing companies, there's all that pyramid scheme kind of conversation.
Yeah.
Well, doesn't the guy at the top make all the money? And I was thinking those thoughts when I was looking at Herbalife. So the very first thing that I did was I pulled up their compensation plan and I looked at every percentage. Like where does all the money flow to? I want to know that. Because if I understand that, I'll know if it's a pyramid scheme or not. Because the definition of a pyramid scheme, which technically no multi-level marketing companies are pyramid schemes. They were all illegalized Ponzi schemes. And Ponzi schemes were companies that would you would make money when you recruited a distributor and you would share the philosophy of the company as the meat and potatoes, maybe it's a personal development type opportunity. Yeah. But you only made money recruiting people and there was no product or service. So then it became a money-moving operation where people are getting percentages of registration fees, but there's no product or service. So those were made illegal. And Herbalife, when I looked at it, I saw, because for it to be a good work-from-home opportunity for somebody, they got to be able to make some money, at the bottom. That's what's most important, really, in my opinion, is people at the bottom need to be able to make money. Yeah. So I saw 25 to 50% commission. And I was like, that's insane. I've never seen, I had multiple sales jobs. Never had I seen anything over 18%. Yeah. That was crazy. So when I saw that, I was like, okay. And they did $9.5 billion last year, which is just crazy. So to think you could get 25 to 50% of value of a company that's able to move that much product is wild. And then I looked at how they paid out the residual forms of income. So above that 50%, there's royalties that are paid out on 3 levels, but 3 levels only. They're not on infinite levels or anything weird like that. So it's you only earn that 5% royalty on the people that you help to develop successful businesses, not on everybody.
I see what you're saying.
Right. And then there's production bonuses. That was the other place where I was like, well, maybe it's there because it says on infinite levels, right?
Yeah.
I was like, oh, snap. You said infinite. That's it. But I looked at it, and the cool thing is there's checks and balances. So one, you can't step out of the business and still earn these incomes. You actually have to work and be active. So that's one thing that I thought was really cool. The other thing is as you earn a bonus, you actually chip away at the bonus of the person above you. So for instance, the bonuses go up to 6%. So I have a 2% bonus. So when I got that 2% bonus, my mentor's bonus went from 6 to 4%.
Oh.
Right.
Really?
So I actually can accumulate and earn more than him. Because he's only paid on 3 levels. I'm paid on 3 levels too. So we have the exact same pay scale. Yeah. And then it's just a matter of who does more work. Yeah. And the scale of your impact that you have through moving these products and helping people become healthier, because ultimately, like anybody that becomes truly successful in Herbalife, you have been able to successfully retail products to people and help those people get real results to the point where those results have attracted other people and then created opportunities for those people that have the results. And enough of those people coming through, eventually people want to start in the opportunity themselves, and then they go on to develop successful home-based businesses. Maybe they go further with it, and they grow an organization of people like them, earning $500 to $1,000 a month. And it can kind of trickle down very quickly and make a big difference. Like, for instance, if you have 10 customers in Herbalife, you're making about $1,000 a month. And if you helped 3 people do that same thing, and then you taught them to just help 3 people do the same thing, that it reverberates down. So you'd have 3 people in that front level, then you'd have 9 people in the second level, and 27 people in the third level. So altogether, that's $78,000 in retail.
Oh, wow.
If they're all doing the same thing.
Yeah.
Just by the law of multiplication. So by teaching that and training all those distributors by working smart, utilizing events and training them in one room, you can train up like a small army of people that can create a small impact on an individual scale, but enough people, it makes a big, big difference. $78,000 of healthy food going into the community, yielding results for all these people. And as a result of that, your royalty check is like $4,000 a month, and your bonus is about $3,200. But again, it would take you probably a few years to build that. But at the end of it, if you're making a residual $70,000 to $80,000, $90,000 per year, that's well worth the investment.
Yeah.
But
yeah, because I hear a lot of good things, bad things. I have family that's there still doing it, and they're pretty successful at it too. And I've always I'd probably be like, I don't know, because like I said, good things, bad things, and I'm just like, my biggest thing, I was like, well, they are still relevant, and they've been relevant for a long time, so I'm assuming they're doing something right.
It's all about, are the people that are saying those negative things, looking at those examples and say, did you really do it? Because based on my personal experience, I was like hard skeptic, and I know that a lot of people quit. That's just how it is, in everything, anything in life, a lot of people quit. And that's the first thing, is, are they just one of the ones that quit? And then if they didn't quit, did they work hard? Did they give up at the first problem? Because you can work hard, then you hit a stumbling block, and then you just walk. So it's kind of like, where did their experience go wrong on an individual basis? Because that's really what it's about. I think everything in life is like that. For sure. And it's like, if anybody's doing anything, there's going to be a lot of haters, and that's for everybody. Zuckerberg's got haters, Bezos has haters, Elon Musk has haters, but yet they've all contributed to the global economy, or whatever you want to call it, in some way, shape, or form. And I believe, Herbalife is one of those greats, largest nutrition company in the world. So there's going to be people that say negative things, from, I've seen things like false claims on product quality. NSF approved, Olympic level athletes.
Because I've seen I was watching some YouTube, good things and bad things. I was like, I want to know. And they talked about the product. I don't remember too much. I was just like super, let it play on the back. But yeah, I did just hear that some things not anything specific, but about products, and that was the biggest thing. But
yeah, I remember I saw a story that said there was like lead in it, and it would like kill your organs and stuff like that. Yeah, and I'm just sitting here like, why am I not dead?
Yeah.
I've been using these shakes 2-3 times a day for 10 years. So if anybody should be dead, it's me. For sure. I'm not a zombie. But yeah, so and that's the main thing too, is you got to walk it out. You got to test the products. You got to know the products for yourself. And I think most of those people, they probably quit in their first year.
And that's another thing too. I can maybe talk bad or good, but the reality is I never tried it like that. Maybe had a shake or two, and but really go through the process, never. And I'm pretty sure a lot of people haven't. So I'm one of those people, if I've never, tried it or done it myself, I'm not going to sit there and talk bad about it or negative about it. I'm just like, I don't know. But the biggest thing is they're still relevant, and there's a lot of successful people doing it. So
right.
And there's a reason for that.
Right. You don't get to 95 countries without advertising because your product doesn't work.
Yeah, for sure.
And that's the truth. And people can say what they want. But there's a reason why there's a lot of people on it.
And what really got me in that whole department was because I've attended these trainings, I've had opportunities to meet people. For instance, Richard Carmona, He was a 17th Surgeon General of the United States, now on the board of directors with Herbalife.
Wow.
Right. So it's like you got Surgeon Generals, Nobel laureates.
Yeah.
You know, like when you got people like that, it's like they're not going to attach themselves to something that's not going to make them look good or better.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, you know, that was a heavy weight for me. And yeah, but I can talk about Herbalife all day, dude.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, it's done so much for me from, you know, like just the quality of living, the future, how bright that looks. The kind of things I get to do on a daily basis. Like I just met with a brand new client who's been on the product for 1 week. Got to meet with him earlier today. He's already down 5 pounds.
Shit.
I got a client who started about 3.5 months ago. He was 278. Now he's 228.
Wow.
Right. So like when I see results like that, and then I hear about people that are like, well, the product's any good. I'm just like, dude, you just got to try it. Like I can't convince you. Like you need to try it and convince yourself. Cause like, there's no words that I can say that would convey what these products do for you. So that's just kind of where I usually leave it at. It's like, you know, 10 years of experience using them. You can take my word for it or you can try them.
Yeah. And that's the thing too, is like, I mean, we see some pretty rough comments sometimes. And I always say like, well, you saying it like, you know, so do you know, or have you done it? And it's just like, that's where I come from. It's just like, I'm not going to like hate or say anything negative. If I personally never done it or hate on it, it's just like, and I think a lot of people should think like that, you know, like go try it for yourself, see what it does.
Yeah. I mean, what's the problem?
Yeah.
If you don't know, you should figure it out, you know? And, you know, it's like, I think most of the people that are on that like hater side, it's usually because they want to hate because of a different reason than what they're actually saying. Like there's something else going on. Like they're mad because keto didn't work, so Herbalife can't work either. Yeah. You know, it's like something like that.
Yeah, that's usually how it is. Yeah.
And they just got burnt out trying the last thing they were doing.
I also want to mention, I'm sure you've tried their stuff before. Do you remember trying anything specific?
Never.
No?
I don't.
Well, Robert's brought a lot.
Well, I'm allergic to a lot of that, like plant-based stuff, so I don't do really any of that.
Because I was going to talk about, like, you have some really good shakes. I will say that.
Oh, yeah.
Like, it might not even be, like, the nutrition stuff, but it's like healthy.
The taste.
Well, it is healthy, but it's good.
Yeah.
You know, how does that, like... Is there like a secret? Is there a way that you do it, or how does that work? I
mean, I don't know what it is exactly. I've been making banging shakes my whole life for some reason. It was just something that like I just was able to do is get that temperature and the texture just right. But you know, a lot of it's just like I think caring enough to fine tune it. You know, it's like a musician doesn't play beautiful music because he wants to play it for himself only. Yeah, it's like he wants to share that music and he wants to play it for other people. So when he's playing, you know, he's playing at a level that's like passionate and emotionally connected to it. Yeah. So when I serve a shake to somebody, their first time in Freedom Nutrition, I want them to be like, oh my God, that is so good. Like, wow, I got to have this in my life. Because if I can create that experience for them, then ultimately, like, I might have an avenue to help them, you know, confront diabetes, cardiovascular disease, you know, fatigue, like all these different problems. And like for me, I like every shake, I'm seeing a vision for someone's life potentially changing as a result of what they feel next. So, you know, that's probably part of it is just the intentionality. Like, I really want this shake to be something special for these people. And a lot of it too is because the content, you know, the amount of nutrition we're putting in that shake makes it super creamy. You know, we're using the highest quality stevia based, you know, flavor enhancers and beverage mixers and stuff that come exclusively from Herbalife. So they're, you know, created that highest quality possible. So then we're able to make these, you know, low calorie options, you know, 240 calories, 29 grams of protein, 21 vitamins, minerals, antioxidants, and fiber. It's going to keep you full for 3 to 5 hours, you know, and for all that to be the cost of a drive-through meal. Yeah. You know, it's like this has more nutrition than 3,500 calories worth of fruits and vegetables. Yeah. The amount of nutrition most people don't see in an entire week. You can get in one shake. Right. So, you know, that's all part of it. It's the company's quality. It's our intentionality on making the shakes. It's the $1,000 blender. You know, it's a lot of that stuff. But you know, we got some really awesome recipes.
Yeah, like the cinnamon toast crunch one.
Yeah,
still got it, right?
Reese's cheesecake.
Yeah. So like now, what's been going on with Freedom Nutrition now? Really, I don't know what it's. Yeah. I think last time. I don't know when it was, but I think you were talking about maybe opening another one, or you opened another one?
The Nutrition Spot. It's in Robinson, on Robinson Drive. It's going to be opening right about August 1st. It's right next door to the Domino's Pizza there. And, we're excited about that. That'll be location number 7.
7?
Yeah, so we opened first one in 2020. Now there's 7.
Nice.
Wow.
Yeah, it's been a
while. All in Waco?
No, there's actually some in Virginia as well. Fairfield, there's 2 over there. Clifton has 1. China Spring has 1. Hewitt, Robinson, yeah.
Dang, that's crazy.
Yeah, man, it's crazy, dude.
Yeah,
it's exactly right.
That's cool though. So I want to ask, because you said that you like you like hearing positive things. What kind of you read some? I'm sure you've read or listened to some books.
Oh yeah.
What kind of books do you like to listen to, or what's one of the books that you like?
Yeah, so it kind of depends on like what sort of development I'm trying to cultivate. But like just some fundamental books that like I just think are amazing that anybody should read. Yeah. There's a book. Its author is Jim Rohn. It's called The 12 Pillars, and it's basically like an overhaul of like why and what you want to develop as a really well balanced, living well individual. By living well, like you understand how to create lifestyle, which is living well. That book is incredible at just teaching different characteristics that you want to develop. Think and Grow Rich is another really good one by Napoleon Hill.
I've listened to that.
Yeah, it's crazy good. It's just, I can't say enough about it. It's a lot about mindset, organizing your mind and your thoughts and your passions and your desires to then cultivate, that coming to reality and manifesting that into reality. That's a great one. I really love, the concept that leadership is influence and they're interchangeable.
Yeah.
And a lot of that I get from John Maxwell. His books, The 21-Year Irrefutable Laws of Leadership, are probably like a deep dive and more to the real nitty-gritty information on like what characteristics does a leader specifically have and what do you need to develop to become a stronger leader. Yeah. And he has a book called The 5 Levels of Leadership, which then gets into like the tiers of leadership and kind of like where you land on it based on what you're contributing, whether it be because you have a title, people don't really even like you, or they follow you because they have a relationship with you and they really like you, or maybe they follow you because of your performance, or maybe they have, gone through all those steps and now they're learning to cultivate leadership themselves and lead other people, or maybe they've ascended beyond that and now they're teaching other people leadership. So you've led them that far. So there's kind of these 5 levels that go all the way up to like the pinnacle level, which is hold on. So you got the 5 levels of leadership, and they're basically these different levels, and it's like a process of cultivating leadership in other people, through earning the right to even have that opportunity with somebody by growing the relationship and having the position of leadership, and then having the results that show why you are a leader and what you do. So that way they then follow you out of a variety of different respects, that they have for you. And then through that, they learn how you're showing leadership qualities to the point where they become a leader themselves. And then eventually they're teaching leadership. And then basically that transitions you up to like the pinnacle level of leadership, which is where you would find CEOs and executives, in really successful companies. So John Maxwell is amazing. There's also the 15 Invaluable Laws of Growth, which then help to teach more of like the where the rubber meets the pavement kind of stuff. Like if you want to achieve certain things, these are the types of ways you want to think, and how to cultivate momentum, things that are going to carry you through growth patterns and stuff like that. But I love that type of content. Yeah. That stuff is really awesome.
Have you ever read or listened to The Surrender Experiment?
No.
Well, that one's more like about, I like listening to the books about like life, spirituality, manifestation kind of. So this book, it's a guy's telling his story, how he basically surrendered to life and kind of just went through whatever was shown, its path. One example was that he got asked to like build this little build something, and it led to him building a construction business, and then he sold it.
That's
and then
crazy.
Stuff like that happened. It's just like, well, if you just stop resisting, like just let it go. And that book taught me that. And then I forgot what the other one was, but it was the same author, and it was just about like, that conscious mind, that voice in your head, and that one was nice. And then there's one, I don't know the author's name, The Suitable Art of like not giving a fuck. That one was good. I don't know if you ever, it's a good book. David Goggins' book. Yeah. What is it called? Something hard. I don't even know do you know what it's called? No, I don't know. But David Goggins, his book, his book is awesome. That's his life, and like that's like nice. But those books, I listen to those books all like getting here, and they got me right. I read Think and Grow Rich.
Yeah.
And then some influence book too about leadership. Yeah, those books are awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's crazy. There's so much to learn.
Yeah.
There's so much you can go through.
Yeah.
It's like all that stuff ties so much in. Like Don Miguel Ruiz, you probably really like his books if you're into like the spiritual development side of things. He's got The Four Agreements is a great book.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, super good book. But yeah, man.
You ever listen to or heard The Alchemist?
Yeah.
Yeah, that book's. She put me on that book.
Yeah, Don Miguel Ruiz. He's amazing.
Yeah. You ever listen to read some books?
I've read a few, but they're not like whatever y'all are talking about. They're like the Closer Survival Guide, like stuff that I use for car sales, stuff like that, like closing techniques and sell, like Think and Grow Rich. I've read that book, super good book. But I have a really hard time reading.
I got to do audio.
Yeah, I've never done audio, but I need to start doing audio because when I read, I like read so fast.
Yeah.
And I don't even take in what I'm reading.
Hey, if you wanted a book that is actually for multi-level marketing, but I saw it have a direct effect on my car sales, was actually a book called Go Pro by Eric Worre. Eric Worre is the #1 recruiter in all multi-level marketing. And this book, Go Pro, basically breaks down the fundamental concepts you need to understand to be a successful direct sales and multi-level marketing professional. So that book like leveled up my mindset on how I manage my mind in business a lot. I mean, it allowed me to create a flow and like a funnel of operations essentially for exactly what I was doing. To the point where like when I was selling cars, it was like my first month was over 20 cars. And then after that, it was like, 48 to 50% close ratio.
Yeah.
And it was like, it was kind of crazy, but I don't actually take credit for it because it's the education, it's the information that was provided to me, not me.
For sure. Yeah. Education has a lot to do with the success of a lot of salespeople. I feel like, monitoring what you take in, a lot of that. Cause I was in the service industry for the longest, like waiting tables. So selling cars kind of came naturally to me, but I really leveled up when I first started. I was into those books, and like my first month, I think I did a lot of cars for
new person.
A new person.
Right.
And then after that, I was like, I leveled up after reading those books and listening to these things from Grant Cardone. I'm sure you know him.
10X.
Yep. So I leveled up, and then eventually it just kind of wore off because I got tired of selling cars. But now I don't do that anymore. I just quit like a week and a half ago.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you.
No more 8 to 5.
Yeah, it's kind of a relief. But yeah, definitely monitoring what you take in and what you listen to and all that has a direct effect on success as a salesperson for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Now, like, it's getting towards the end. What are some, like, the biggest things to you that matter the most to be successful or have gotten you to be successful?
You got to know where you want to be in life. You got to have a vision for that, and you got to get specific. I think a lot of people are like, well, I just want to be able to pay my bills. It's like, well, then you're just going to be broke your whole life.
Yeah.
You need to have something great.
But what if you're like, well, I don't know what I want to do with my life?
I mean, you got to think about what fulfills you. It's like, what are you doing right now with your time when you're most happy? And how is it you can extend that happiness to other people through a service or something that you can add? That way you're doing something you're passionate about, something you're fulfilled by, but you're also working for yourself so it doesn't get structured in a way where you're not receiving the reward or the fulfillment, because there's a big difference between working with a company's customer and working with your own customer.
Yeah.
So kind of finding a way to make it yours is really important. So like knowing a vision, what you want out of the future, knowing what area brings you fulfillment that you want to work in at least, to some degree. And then understanding like at some point I need to find a way to make this mine and not work for somebody else. Those are like the main things that I think are going to contribute the most. But I mean, think about it, create the dream board. It might be cheesy for some people, but like, picture the houses, drive through the neighborhoods, test drive the cars.
I've done all those things.
Yeah, it makes a difference, man.
Yeah.
I mean, for me, it's been sitting in those cars, seeing those homes that has shown me it's possible, even though it's still, distant, there's ways to grasp some of that in the process. Yeah. And knowing how to like reinvest yourself into something that's going to elevate your mindset and not be too gluttonous about it. Like, for instance, I don't spend a lot of money on myself. I reinvest, everything really. I paid off my business in the first 24 months.
Jesus.
Right. And that's because of discipline and reinvestments. But at the same time, you need to also show the potential. So you need to have some nice things, otherwise people are going to be like, why is he doing that?
Yeah.
And if we're going to bring people with us on this type of journey, they need to see things that are relevant to what they would like to have. My greatest accomplishment outside paying off my business, which is my greatest accomplishment ever, I feel. But outside of that, just a fun thing that I got to do is the car that broke down on me before I started doing Herbalife was a 1980 Mercedes 300 series. And I thought it was so cool, man. I was driving a Mercedes, had the Benz logo, and it was old and a piece of crap. It's seriously, man. Like the last time I saw it was on a record with no tires. And so in 2020, when we got to a particular benchmark that I considered survival success, I went and I bought me a brand new 2020 Mercedes-Benz.
Yeah, nice.
So thank you. So I was like, I need to show some fruit, and I also need to take a leap of faith. And it wasn't like just an ignorant leap of faith. Like I purposely had adjusted my expenses to the weight of that car payment before I ever said yes to it.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like an adjustment financially. It was just an adjustment psychologically to then get into a Mercedes-Benz and have it be yours, and how that changes the way you then attack the next day, and your work ethic increases, and your ability to see what's next elevates, so it's like you didn't own that before, you own it now, so now maybe you can see yourself in something else, and it's like a stair-stepping kind of thing that creates a lot of motivation, and kind of like from Think and Grow Rich, cultivates that desire, and allows you to use it for something.
And then I wanted to see, like, I guess another thing I think that matters to a lot of success is like kind of what you surround yourself with, and your everyday environment. And I mean, that's one thing I probably tell people the most is this, like, what are you doing? Who are you surrounding yourself with? Why are you upset? Why are you sad? Why are you mad? It's just like, well, what did you do today? Tell me. Like, did you at least have a meal? Did you eat any energy? Like, whether it was a snack or not. That's been the biggest thing is, like, I don't go out too much, whether it's to the store, movies, anywhere really. And it's just like, why is that? I tell myself, I want to be around, like, that, the energy that I want, which is, whether it's I'm telling you, I stay in that corner for work, and then, out of work it's this, and I'm there editing and stuff, and it's just like, that's my environment. Yeah. And I need that, because if I'm over here, eating out, drinking every weekend, partying every weekend, it's just like that'll start to pull you away. And I want to see, like, I want to hear your opinion on that, like how much your environment is and what you try and surround yourself with.
Yeah, dude. So I'm on the extreme side of that.
I bet you are.
For real, yeah. So, like, in my mind, if it doesn't serve me, it doesn't exist. Like, it just has no room with me, like, at all. Unless, like, it's something that fits into the hour of leisure downtime I give myself a day, which is, like, the hour I'm winding down to go to sleep. But, like, for me, my time is like, for instance, there's this this concept called priming. Tony Robbins taught me this. So, like, priming for the day, essentially is what I do. So the first 30 minutes of the day is personal development content, usually audio as I'm getting ready. And it's going to be something very, like, production-oriented mindset to get me working, ready to, like, really get after it. And then, in my time, driving throughout the day, my audio in the car is going to be something different. It may be something that's oriented around certain types of issues that I need to confront in leadership or whatever it is. I'll kind of, like, find some content that will match that. Or, like, if I'm going to go to the gym, it might be mindset stuff from, like, famous bodybuilders or, Muhammad Ali, or, like, just different people that are very influential at creating that type of mental environment that I'm trying to manifest for what I'm doing. So, like, I feel like audio and education for me are ongoing throughout the entire day. And it's always purpose driven towards what I'm trying to do. And everything is, like, scheduled out. So, like, what time I'm going to sleep, what time I'm eating, my appointments throughout the day, how I'm interacting with my team and the organization I have, and the organization above me that I'm part of. And, our calendar is very, very tight. We have events every week and every month, and every day there's things going on. So it's just very, very structured out. And as far as, like, influences, it's like, that whole law of averages, you're the 5 people that you spend the most time around. So it's like, when I first started doing Herbalife, I had to seriously change my life. And that was like part of what happened in 2011 was, I had that huge problem with like drugs and addiction and a lot of fake people around me. I had to get all those people out. I had to get all the music out, all the entertainment out. And I had to bring in, the audiobooks and the study and like kind of the personal development content. So that way I could start to like rewrite the way I would even think.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, when I got into that, I never really picked back up entertainment. Yeah. It was like I saw the result and I was like, I don't need it. Like,
I'm a sucker for entertainment.
Yeah, I'm the same, bro.
I mean, I still, I enjoy stuff, but it's just that
I'm just so
level.
mentally weak when it comes to that stuff, like music, TV.
I don't listen to too much music anymore.
Like I listen to the most depressing shit, bro.
That's where that vision's at. When you got that clear vision, what's coming.
I had I don't know why, but I felt like I was like, I need everybody to be here before 5 o'clock. I texted him, I think yesterday about it.
Early, I think.
Yeah, but I remember I even texted you like a little extra about it, and you were like, dude, I'm gonna be there. And
you text me today.
Yeah, and I was like, dude, I need you to be here before 5 o'clock. And I was just like, in my head, I was just like, I just know like time is important to you, and that's what I was like, I got to make sure we're ready to go at 5 o'clock. We had a small delay, but it's like, I'm aware. I was like, okay, like we gotta make sure, because also too, you were telling me like during the day, that's when you had your free time, and I was like, well, I'm only free in the nights, and it's just like I want to make sure that. No, respect out of you.
Yeah. I mean, there's no such thing as free time. It's just time to invest.
Mm-hmm. So, I guess now, like, what are your plans look like? That you have your business and now you're growing. Like, what is it like now?
Yeah.
What's next?
Like, I'm super grateful for where I'm at right now, just because my journey has now transitioned from like me in the trenches, hard work, crazy, trying to get to that point. Now that point has come and it's passed. And now my life has transitioned to just bringing people with me. Yeah. And that's a beautiful place to be, because that's where, it's like, I'm still doing the daily, helping people with their health, but more so like I'm helping people create financial prosperity. Yeah. And like, that's a bit of a different problem. See, like for me personally, I grew up very poor. So like, I was always athletic up until that surgery. Mm-hmm. So I relate more with poverty and solving that problem than I do the health problem. I see the value that I can add to people in the health problem. But the financial problem is personal to me. I was poor, man. Like, my family of 5 kids and 2 parents were in a camper on a campground.
That's insane.
Right?
Yeah.
And we're talking like a camper that has 2 beds in it.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
What? Like, how's that work?
Yeah, that's tough.
Yeah, it was crazy. And I can remember those years and just always kind of struggling financially. So, when I see an opportunity that allows someone without a high school degree to have a 6-figure income and then double that, I'm like, I've never heard of that. Yeah. So at that point, I consider myself very unqualified. Very unqualified. Yeah. But, I also know that anybody that wants it can get it. It's just a matter of playing a game that can let you win, and a lot of these opportunities in life are not designed to let you win.
Yeah, for sure.
They got to keep you somewhere. So
keep you tamed.
Yeah, so that's my vision, man. I'm excited to be bringing people with me. Hopefully next year when we go on vacation, we bringing people with us then. Like we just got back from Riviera Maya, Mexico. They paid for us plane tickets. They got the whole resort.
Yeah, you told me about that. They paid the whole resort. I was like, that's insane.
Yeah, man.
Whole resort paid for
Yeah, I can't believe it. I've never had so many Miami Vices in my life.
Yeah. That's awesome. Man. I'm happy for you.
Thank you.
Well, do you have anything to say before we go?
No, I think I've asked most of the questions I had, and then he's answered some of the questions I was already going to ask. He just answered without me having to ask him. So,
you going to get swole or what?
I'm already swole, bro.
Let's get it. Let's get
it. He's been talking about getting swole for like a year now.
Well, now I just drink a lot of beer and getting a gut.
The carb diet.
Yeah.
All bread.
Yeah. Where can people find you? Where you at? I know you say a few locations.
Yeah, so you can find my personal Instagram, You Live Healthy on Instagram.
The letter U or the word U?
The word U, yeah, okay. YOULIVEHEALTHY.
Okay.
So yeah, You Live Healthy, all spelled out on Instagram. Also, Freedom Nutrition Waco on Facebook and Instagram for our business front Instagram and social media pages. But yeah, so that's where you can find us.
Where are you located?
So we're on Hewitt Drive in Waco, kind of on the Hewitt side of Waco, right beside Paparolo's and Wingstop.
Oh, yeah, okay.
And George's is right there.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
All right. Well, guys, this was an awesome podcast.
Absolutely.
Felt the energy. The value was awesome, and hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Like, share, subscribe. Follow Caleb. You know, you want to get your nutrition right. You got questions, hit him up. He's here for it. He's a smart guy, I will say that. And he knows his stuff. That's probably the biggest thing, yeah.
Free wellness evaluation for anybody that wants it.
There we go.
Just say
CTA.
Say that you're from False 9.
Yeah, False 9. He'll hook you up.
Yep.
Alrighty, guys. Thank you for watching and listening. See you guys next week. Peace.